On today's show, I'm going to be joined by Little Sisters of the Poor. Mother Mary Thomas is going to be in studio with me and Sister Agnes Claire. We're going to talk about what they do. You know what they do? They do something nobody else does. They take care of poor people who are senior citizens and elders. I think it's going to be an interesting show. Stay tuned, listen, and learn.
And now, America's healthcare advocate, Carrie Hall.
Hello, America. Welcome to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HI Radio Network. My producer, Mr. Dave Thiessen, behind the cameras, the man who puts all these shows together, posts them up on our YouTube and podcast channel. By the way, 604,000 views, thanks to all of you out there in the listening audience. Garner Cowdery, the man behind the board over here, making sure everything is working in the Cumulus studio here in Overland Park, Kansas. By the way, if you happen to be chronologically challenged and you're looking for Medicare coverage or ACA, give the lovely Carol Lee Steele a call at RPS Benefits by Design, 877-385-2224. Anywhere in the country, she can help you, 877-385-2224. All right, today's show is very unique. This is a show I've wanted to do for quite a while, actually, and I'm very fortunate to have in studio with me today Mother Mary Thomas and Sister Agnes Claire of Little Sisters of the Poor. Welcome, sisters.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very happy to have you here. So, the Little Sisters of the Poor was founded in 1839 by St. Jeanne Jugan. We'll talk about that as we get into the history. But let me explain to you why I want to do this today and why I think this is important. You know, I do shows like this. I just did Zuzu's Petals here. We were talking about helping people with Christmas, that kind of thing. This is a different message. You know, there are all kinds of charities out there that help children. There are charities out there that help dogs and cats, okay? There are charities out there that help veterans. They all do wonderful things. Think of one charity you know that helps the elderly that are poor, that have no place to go and have nothing in terms of ability to fund or pay for private facility. That's what Little Sisters of the Poor do. They take care of the elderly that are indigent, poor, and need help. They provide homes for them, whether it's a residential care or whether it is skilled nursing facilities. They have all of that available right here in Kansas City. So they're on the show today to talk about their mission, what they do, and how we can help them. Welcome, sister.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you here, Sister Thomas. So tell us a little bit about the history of Little Sisters of the Poor, all the way back to 1839. I was reading this morning, doing show notes. I'm like, I didn't realize that the order was that old. So talk a little bit about that history.
So as you heard from Carrie, our congregation is founded in 1839 in France during French Revolution. There were so many old people were on the road and nobody was taking care of them. So Saint Jeanne Jugan, who is our foundress, took one old lady who was blind, left near the road, and took her to her house and put her in her own bed. And she went to sleep on the attic on her own. Soon other ladies came she found more ladies and then other young women who came to help her. And that's where the congregation began. So now we have like 153 homes in 30 countries. We are the international congregation, which is in all the 30 countries and 5 continents.
That is a lot of, when I was reading this morning, 30 countries. Let's just talk a little about this. So it's really quite remarkable in all the places that you've served in a number of distant places. You've been in Gallup, New Mexico. By the way, I've spent some time in Gallup, so I know a little bit about Gallup, New Mexico, and the Indian population there. You were in Denver for 3 years. You were in New Jersey. And so you've served in different places across the country here in the United States. And Sister Agnes, where have you served besides here in the United States?
Well, I have been a Little Sisters for 52 years. So all through these years, I've been to many countries. First of all, I was in my country from Hong Kong, and then to France and England and Ireland. And then I come to America 21 years ago. The first home was in San Francisco, where I stayed for 13 years. And I went to Denver and California, Denver, California, and finally ended in Kansas City, where I began my 5th year here.
Well, we're glad to have you
Yeah.
here. And that you all do a lot of traveling.
That's right.
You move from a lot of different locations, which is kind of an interesting way for all of this to work. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing here in Kansas City. This is, as I said, you have skilled nursing and then you have assisted living. You've got the building is what, 30 years old here, about
40.
40. It's 40 years old. It's a beautiful building. It's all brick. It's over off of James A. Reed Road. You actually arrived here in Kansas City in 1882.
Correct.
Yes, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, sister.
Well, 6 little sisters from France make their way to Kansas City in 1882, and they started to open their first home. It's called St. Alexis for the Aged Home. So this home, they located in a building which is built for the widow and the orphans of the Civil War soldiers.
I saw that, and I was like,
Yes.
they were treating widows and orphans of the Civil War soldiers. That's really quite remarkable.
Yeah, and the sisters converted as a home for the aged, where they stay until 1932. And then from 1930, when the expansion of the Gilham Traffic Way forced them to relocate somewhere else. So the sister looked for a place on 53, between 53 and Highland. And at that time, the bishop needs a very, very huge possession of 3,500 people to bless and to lay the first foundation stone in that building. And we stayed there until 1982. And the sisters felt that they need a new building and more modern and also more functional home. So in order to meet the changes of the federal and state regulations, so with the help of many generous benefactors, they found a place where we are now is in James A. Road in Raytown.
Sister Mary, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing at that home today and who you're serving in that home.
So in this home, I arrived in December last year. So we have over 75 residents where we care for them apartment and also assisted living and the nursing. So we give them, I am the mother superior of the home, which is taking care of the residents or older people who are poor. Usually we do not take people who have more
financial means.
So we always take for the poor, the better for us.
Yes. Now, this is interesting because as you're all listening to this, Little Sisters of the Poor is obviously a Catholic order. But here's what I want everybody to understand. They take people, it doesn't matter what your religion is. It's non-denominational. You can be a Baptist, you can be a Catholic, you can be Jewish. It really doesn't matter what your religion is. They will take you if you have a need. That's what they do in this home. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this day. I want to make sure everybody understands. As far as I know, they're the only folks here in Kansas City that actually take these people in to a facility. They provide them with a private room that has a bathroom, okay, and it's a beautiful facility. I've been at it. It's well run. It's spotlessly clean. And what they do is very unusual in today's world because we don't have a lot of people out there taking care of the elderly. You know, in this country, the culture is not that of taking care of the elderly. We have a tendency here in this country to let's put them at home. In other countries around the world, the parents live typically with the children when they age. That's not what we do here. So their mission in terms of helping these people, they're kind of like the last resort for people that don't have money, can't get into another facility, don't want to be in a Medicaid facility because those are absolutely horrific, and maybe they don't have family that can help take care of them. So that's why we're doing this today, and we think what they do is important, and that's why we're putting this show on today. So we're going to come back from the break. We're going to continue this conversation with both sisters from Little Sisters of the Poor. We're going to talk more specifically about what they're doing in the community and what they need from us in order to be able to help them with their mission. Stay tuned. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. You can find out more about us going to the website americashealthcareadvocate.com. All these shows are posted up there. They're also on 16 podcast platforms and those YouTube platforms. If you want to tell somebody about this, maybe you know somebody that's got time, maybe they're retired, semi-retired, they'd like to help out or know more about Little Sisters of the Poor, go up there to the show, tell them about the show, let them listen or watch, whatever they want to do. There is a website. Remember, these sisters do homes all over the world. So Gallup, New Mexico, other Denver, there are a host of places around the country. They still do these homes. San Francisco, San Pedro, California. These are just some of the cities that they've been in or are in. If you want to learn more, you're listening to somewhere else in the country. Maybe you're in Alaska. Maybe you're in Redlands, California, wherever the case may be. Their website is littlesistersofthepoor.org. Anywhere in the country, if you want to learn about, is there a home in your area? Could you help? Could you volunteer? littlesistersofthepoor.org. Also, if you want to help out here in Kansas City, please give Carrie Rojas a call at 816-203-8015, 816-203-8015. We're going to talk about what they're looking for in the way of volunteers in the third segment, but they need drivers. They need people that can help do some landscaping. They need people in the kitchen. If you're a retired nurse and you want to come in and do counseling or help them out, they would love to have you. So once again, 816-203-8015. All right, sister, let's talk a little bit about quality of living. You know, Medicaid nursing homes are very difficult for people to live in. I always say the first thing you notice when you walk in a Medicaid home is the smell. Usually it's Pine Sol or Clorox or something, and you've got two people to one room sharing one television. There's no privacy. It's just not a quality of living. When I walked into I didn't know what to expect. When I walked into that building, that all-brick building in the lobby, you've got a beautiful lobby, some religious artifacts out there, some statues, some other things, and the place is absolutely spotless. I was like, this is as clean or cleaner than a hospital I've been in. But the other part that I think is amazing is these people have their own room with their own bathroom, so they're not sharing a bathroom or a television or something. So talk about the quality, because to me, the quality of life that you're providing is not the norm unless you can pay to go into a private facility. So it's very different. So talk a little bit about that, Sister Mary.
When they come to us, they become the part of our family. The residents, the employees, the sisters is one big family. We live together. So we want to give them respect, good care, gentle, our way of dealing with them, talking to them. We really become part of their life. They are poor, so they don't have much maybe give us, but that's why we go out to the church collection, different places to ask the money, because what we receive from them is not enough to run the home, to feed 75 people in the home for 3 meals and good care, and provide all medical care they need, laundry done, rooms are clean. So we treat them as for us, it's like a Lord Jesus whom we are serving. So we want to give him the best we can, best care we can provide to them, and make their last days happy, enjoyable, where they can really live with us peacefully. And when the Lord calls, they're ready to say yes to the Lord.
You know, it's amazing to me when I was in there and I looked at, you live with them. That's the part that I think is very interesting. You're there every day interacting with them, whether it's meals or recreation or they're doing hobbies, whatever the case may be, you're with them the whole time. Let's go back to this cost thing. So most of these people have Medicaid. Medicaid doesn't cover the cost of half of what it costs to run that home. Okay, and that's one of the problems. You're taking these people in who are, if it weren't for you, who knows where they would be, probably in some Medicaid home if they could get in. But the point is, they're getting a different quality of life you're provided for you. You're living with these folks in the home. Talk a little bit about some of the experiences, Sister Agnes, of some of these people that you're in the home and how you interact with them.
Well, we to make the elderly happy is the core of our mission. So we try our best to make them happy, and we try to create a place where the residents call home, and they welcome as Christ, and we serve them as family.
And that's really a different way of doing taking care of the elder, a different level of compassion and care, Sister Mary, in the way you do this for these folks. I mean, the people that I saw in there when I was there for our last meeting, it's clear that they're very fortunate to be there and they're being very well taken care of.
So in order to serve them, whatever we need, we depend on divine providence, to God provide us when we need it. So people from Kansas City been very generous to us all these years, 143 years we are serving the people of Kansas City, and we never lack anything because people are very good to us and give us what we need financially or things, whatever we need. So we count on our patron saint, which is Saint Joseph. We call on him when we need something. We ask him we need something, and he always never has let us down. So our founder, Saint Jeanne Jugan, had great trust in Saint Joseph, and we as the little sisters continue that, to counting on Saint Joseph to provide what we need our residents, because what fund we get from the residents is not enough to run the home. But because of the people's generosity, we are able to do now, till now, all this after 143 years.
It's quite remarkable that when you think about it, you mentioned you've got 75 people in this home. You've got room for more, which you need more staff, you need more help to be able to do that. But having said that, people don't necessarily think about this. You've got to feed 75 people 3 times a day. You've got to make sure their laundry is done. I didn't even think of that part till you said it. Okay, you get their rooms are clean. I'm sure that they need other personal service, medical care, all the rest of it. So that's all part of what you do in running this home to provide, as Sister Agnes said, this family atmosphere for these people, to let them know that. That's interesting that you said to keep them happy, Sister Agnes, because so many senior citizens, especially in situations like Medicaid homes, they become very withdrawn because they're not having interaction. They're not in a place where they're comfortable or they're happy. Your situation, what you're providing with, is something completely different. It's a level of security. It's a level of care. It's all of those things that make a big difference for all of them. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about how you can help out with a little bit of that divine providence, okay? What they need that you can help out with here in the Kansas City Metro, or if you happen to be listening anywhere else in the country, you can certainly get involved with Little Sisters of the Poor. The website for them nationally is littlesistersofthepoor.org, littlesistersofthepoor.org. If you want to help out here in Kansas City, maybe you've got some free time, maybe you're semi-retired, maybe you'd like to make a donation, or you've got some other way to help, reach out to Carrie Rojas. You can find her at 816-203-8015, 816-203-8015. We'll be right back after the break with more. Stay tuned. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. I want to give a shout out to KMET 1490 AM and 98.1 FM in Redlands, California. One of our great stations up there, listening to America's Healthcare Advocate. Happy to have you on board. You've been with us a long time. I know the folks up in California enjoy the show. We get a lot of feedback. So thank you all you folks over at KMET. All right, let's switch gears here a little bit. Sister Agnes, your official title is beggar. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk a little about what it means to be the chief beggar for Little Sisters of the Poor. Sister Agnes?
Well, I'm proud of this title you gave me. I all through my religious life, my job is mostly on begging, on collecting, or you can say begging. I go every day. We go to different markets, offices, and and all the bakery place to solicit monetary and donations in kind. And the people are very good, enough to they provide for us enough for the whole week at the table. So I'm proud of that, and I enjoy my baking because I can reach out to the people whom I solicit their charity and create a channel of grace for their souls by this selfless charity, an act of selfless charity. It was already our mother founders believed that sharing is a common gesture among the human family, where all are called to live in fidelity. It was in this spirit that she ensured the subsistence of her work through the collecting. The collecting is a fundamental element of our charism. It's another way of serving the elderly. It affirms our fidelity to receiving the poorest elderly, and it bears witness of our trust in God without neglecting the human means and creativity. Make us count on the intervention of the providence through the collecting. We associate the lay people to join our work, and we will work together for the good of our residents in view of God.
And thank you. I think that pretty much says what your mission is as far as, let's talk a little about specifics, Sister Mary. Okay. So you've got, how many acres is that facility? It's a big facility.
It's 23 acres.
23 acres. And you've got a pond on it. I mean, it's wonderful. It's beautiful because, all the folks in the home have a place they can go out. There's recreation. They can walk. They can fish in the little pond. They can do a lot of things. But that needs upkeep. That's right. Work, right? Yeah. Okay, so you're in need of people. If folks want to, if you've got a church group, if you've got a men's group, if you've got, maybe at work you have people that get together and go out and do volunteer. Blue Cross of Kansas does this. I know Blue Cross of Kansas City does it. If you've got a group that goes out and does work in various community projects, this is a project. You might want to give Carrie Rojas a call and say, hey, we'd like to come down on a Saturday, or we'd like to come down and help out and do some cleanup or be involved with Little Sisters of the Poor over on James A. Reed Road. So that's one thing they need. Hygiene drives. What are hygiene drives?
To take care of 75 people, we need a lot of Kleenex, shampoo, mouthwash, body wash, all these things. Everything is now expensive. So if people can help us that way, we'll be very grateful, because we need all that for them to take care of daily basic. Yeah.
Okay, and Sister Agnes, you mentioned going to bakeries and different food facilities. So if someone owns or runs a grocery store, is a manager of a grocery store or a restaurant or a bakery, and they have goods that they can donate to you, you're more than happy to receive those?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Right.
We'll arrange a date, and then we'll go regularly to get the food. Make sure they have this pastry, which the residents love it.
So the idea then obviously is if you have a bakery, if you have a restaurant, if you have a grocery store, maybe you're a manager for Price Chopper or Aldi's or one of the other stores. If you think about this, maybe there's a way, when you have dented canned goods or goods that are a day old and you can't put them back out on the shelf, they'd probably love to have them. If you want to do something like that, reach out to Carrie Rojas, 816-203-8015, 816-203-8015. She'd be happy to chat with you. Let's talk about something that you did here recently that you had a few folks attend. When you throw a dinner, you throw a big dinner. Talk about, so you had a spaghetti dinner last Sunday. I was cooking for grandchildren, so I didn't get to come. But let's talk a little about how many people you had and what did you serve, Sister Mary?
So we had 600 people attended. It was first time for me. I was just amazed to see all these people coming in and out. And most is everything was donated. The meatball, the spaghetti, the bread, the cake, everything was donated. So whatever we made is all our profit that was, and we had the craft sale, we had silent auction, and we had so many volunteers to help us. It was so wonderful to see how
600
people. That can you imagine how many meatballs made it and how much pasta and to be bread, garlic bread. It was beautiful, and people just so happy when they went home. They were just like a thanking, even they paid for that. They were still happy about it. Yeah. It was a beautiful day for everybody.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful event. Yeah. And so who had to make the 600 meatballs? That's what I want to know. Sister Agnes?
We have a catering. He was very kind, and he offered his help for us for this fundraiser.
Okay.
And the catering is themselves with all the staff. They prepare all this meatball and
so
pasta.
we have an event coming up on December 6th. It's a breakfast meat collection. Talk about what people can do if they want to bring food to that drive.
So every year, as a night tradition for us, we have a kind of meat drive around this time. This year we decided to put it on the 9th of December from 9 to 3, right? And then you can drive through and then go first of all go to the grocery and buy whatever we need. We have a list, so you bought it and then you drive through, and then the sister will receive your very kind donations.
What they're looking for, so everybody understands here, is they're looking for bacon, ham, sausage, holiday breakfast. It is December 6th. That is the date. If you so they're over on James A. Reed Road. They're easy to find. If you want to go over there and drop something off, feel free to do that. They'd be happy to have it. And it's certainly something they can use. As they said, they're feeding 75 people every day. Think about that. That's a lot. That's a lot of bacon and a lot of ham. Okay. So let's switch gears here and talk about something else now. You have a van, Sister Mary. Mm-hmm. It's broken down. Okay. It's 16 passenger bus. And so therefore you need to have the ability to get people in your facility. If they want to go to Walmart and go shopping, or they need to do this or go to a doctor's appointment, you don't have a van right now. So, if you're out there, you're a car dealer, okay, or you're a used car dealer, whatever the case may be, or maybe you're somebody that has a connection to Ford or GM or whatever, whoever it may be, we're looking for a van. They need to replace this van. You're looking for a 12-passenger van, right?
With the 2 handicap access.
Right.
Also, because we have few residents who are on the wheelchair, so they can also be able to go out. What we have is the lift doesn't work.
And the
battery doesn't work, so it's very hard to take them out. Like, for example, the Christmas lights, we want to take them to see the Christmas lights, but no access to take them out.
So they're looking for a van. So if there's anyone out there that has access or can start a conversation with Ford Motor Company or General Motors or anybody else, please feel free to reach out to Carrie Rojas. Once again, that phone number is 816-203-8015. By the way, if you would like to be a driver, if you can come and help take people to the doctor, if you can take people, if they need to go to Walmart or pick up prescription, whatever the case may be, they'd love to have you. If you want to come as a volunteer, they'd love to have you come as a volunteer and help out with this part where they can get these folks outside of the home when they need to go do something. Or just as Sister Mary just said, if they just want to go look at the lights on the plaza, if you've got the ability to help do that, please reach out to them. They could certainly use the help. Once again, Carrie Rojas is at 816-203-8015, 816-203-8015. They'd be happy to chat with you. We'll be right back after the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Stay right there. We've got more when we come back. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. You're listening to this. I don't care where you are in the country. They have a need. And it's like I said at the beginning of this show, give me a name of another charity that does this. There aren't very many. I don't know of any, frankly, especially where they actually take them into a home, give them a decent place to live, their own private room, their own bathroom, provide 3 meals a day for them, personal hygiene, laundry, cleaning, the whole 9 yards. They do it all. The facility here in Kansas City is beautiful. Yes, it's older, but they maintain it. It's spotless. It's very well done. This is a quality of life you don't typically see for the elderly when they get stuck into a Medicaid facility, 2 rooms, sharing a bathroom and 1 television. That's not a way to end your life or wind up in your old age where you want to be. What they're providing is a quality of life that's far and above that, okay? And if you've got the money to afford that kind of nursing care with a long-term care policy, that's great. But a lot of people don't, and that's what they do. So their website, anywhere in the country, littlesistersofthepoor.org, littlesistersofthepoor.org. If you have time, you want to volunteer, maybe you have a business that can help out, maybe you can write a check. Give Carrie Rojas a call, 816-203-8015, 816-203-8015. Help them help those that can't help themselves. All right, let's switch gears a little bit, Sister Mary. We've talked about all the physical things you're doing to take care of people. End of life, going to happen for everybody. Nobody's getting out of here alive, okay? So let's talk about hospice care, because you do hospice care. They don't have to leave if they're in hospice. Let's talk about how you do that and the spirituality piece that you bring to that. This is a Roman Catholic order. I'm Catholic, but you're providing this to people of all denominations. Talk about this, Sister Mary.
So as Carrie said, we are a Catholic congregation, Roman Catholic. We take care of the elderly. So we have mass for them every day in our chapel, where they can participate the mass, any race, color, anybody can come and pray to the Lord. Everyday mass there. They have everyday rosary there. So they have anointing of the sick every 3 months. They have confession every week. So we do provide not only bodily things, but we provide also spiritual life for them. So when the time comes, when the Lord is going to call them, we stay with them. Even if you have to say nights and days, we stay with them. We never leave them alone. We hold their hand. We pray with them. We sisters take a turn in the night, because we know when they will close their eyes here, and when they open next in heaven, they will see Blessed Mother, or Saint Joseph or Jesus come to them, but they will remember who I was holding their hand in the last minute. I was there with them, praying with them. Of course, the family, those who have family, they can come and stay with them. But there are many who don't have the family, so we are their family. So we provide that. We stay with them and we prepare their heart to go to heaven and prepare their soul to the...
A lot of people, you wouldn't necessarily think of that. I mean, even when I was doing all this, getting ready to do this show day, I did not think of that, okay? How important is that? Contrast that with being in one of these Medicaid facilities where there is nobody there, okay? They're on their own. They're by themselves. There's nobody there when they pass. There's no family with them. There's nobody in that facility who has any kind of personal relationship. And here, I just heard you say it. If you're sitting there 24/7 with them in that room, they're not by themselves. That has to mean a lot. That has to mean a lot to these folks. Because as you said, it's sad. I talked about this in the beginning of the show. In this culture, in this country, we don't necessarily look at those of us, and I'm chronologically challenged at 76 years of age, we don't necessarily look at those of us that are seasoned citizens as an asset. We look at them as a liability, okay? That's not how you folks do this. Little Sisters does something completely different. You look at the whole person, you take care of them physically, you take care of them mentally, and you're helping them spiritually. And that's quite a message that you deliver in a way you do this. I just think it's remarkable what you do. And the fact that you devote your lives to this, and you've been doing this. How long is that 132 years in Kansas City? What did you say it was?
143 years.
I was off. Okay, it's 143 years in Kansas City. Dating all the way back to the Civil War. Now think about that, okay? So, Carrie Rojas likes to say they're the best kept secret in Kansas City. I hope we're going to change that, okay? I hope we're going to make a difference where they're not the best kept secret in Kansas City, because they have a mission, and they need your help. Your closing thoughts, Sister Mary, as we finish up the show today.
My closing thoughts, I want to thank the people of Kansas City who has helped us all this year, 143 years. And we count on them to continue for maybe 100 more years. Who knows? We want to stay here. We want to take care of the people of Kansas City.
And that's what they do. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm asking you, if you're listening out there, you're retired. And I'm going to use an example here of somebody I know. Instead of sitting there with your Fox News turned on all day, okay, doing absolutely nothing, How about doing something that might help somebody? Maybe you've got time to go be a volunteer. Maybe you can go down to the home and just help them in the kitchen. Maybe you can help them with the grounds. Maybe you can drive. Maybe you can take 5 people and take them to the doctor or take them to Walmart, whatever the case may be. They have a need for help here. If you've got the ability, it doesn't have to be money. If you don't have the money to do this, I mean, if you do have, that's wonderful. But if you don't, you certainly can step up here and take some time and go down and spend a day, spend 2 hours, 3 hours. You know, it's rewarding to be able to do something to help others. As I said, you know, we elderly in this country are kind of left behind. They're not looked at like they are in a lot of other countries and a lot of other cultures. And that's where the Sisters of the Poor make a huge difference in people's lives. And I think it's important for us to get this message out there. So if you want to get involved, I don't care where you are in the country. They've got homes all over. They've got homes outside of the country and other places. So it's littlesistersofthepoor.org. Littlesistersofthepoor.org is the website nationally if you want to go look up a home. If you want to help out here, over on James A. Reed Road, they certainly love to have you. If you've got a business, maybe you've got a group, maybe you've got a civic group, whatever the case may be, and you'd like to take a Saturday, go on. My men's Bible study group does this. You know, we've done other homes before and helped out. We're certainly going to be at Little Sisters of the Poor this year in the spring to help out. My point is, they need that help. They've got 23 acres out there. It's a big facility. All right. Take the time, get involved. Call Carrie Rojas. The number is 816-203-8015, 816-203-8015. You can make a difference if you want to. You pick up the phone and give them a call, whether it's money, whether it's food, or whether it's volunteer hours. I really appreciate both of you coming in here, dude. Thank you so much for doing this. And thank you, Carrie, for putting all this together and making all this happen today, because I think it's an important message that needs to be delivered. And now I leave you with this thought from Dr. Martin Luther King. Americans must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we are surely going to perish together as fools. Truer words are never spoken. Thank you for listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. Goodbye, America.